Okay, today we're going to work on lesson 7.5, identifying and classifying triangles in a hierarchy based on their properties. So this is something we see on Evaluate with triangle and quadrilateral hierarchies. So you're going to learn what those are today. But first, there's a few terms in regard to triangles. So the different names. So we have triangles called equilaterals. And an equilateral equal, so exactly all the sides are the same. So let's see. All right, and then we have a congruent. That means none of the sides are congruent, at least two of the sides are congruent. All three sides are congruent. And then a isosceles, so iso is the root there, and iso means one, at least one. So at least two sides are congruent. So with an isosceles, at least one side is different than the other. So in the scaling, I always think it was a scary triangle. None of the sides are the same. So again, we'll go over these. But isosceles, congruent, equilateral, and scaling are all words we can use to describe triangles. But before we do that, we're going to do a little warm up here, a little review. These are all things we've done in the past, so you should be comfortable with those. So take a moment and look at those. You can see the box there tells us we're missing the exponent. And I can see that it's division. And I started at 45, and then I went to 4 5/10. So I know I divided by 1 because my decimal went one place to the left and made them smaller. The next one is multiplication, and I can see here my decimal went 2 places to the right, so I end up with 10 to the second power. Let's look at this one, division, and I see my decimal starts here before the 5, and over here I went 2 places to the left, so it'd be divided by 10 to the second power. And then our next one here, we can see I start with 97, it's division, and I end up going from 97 all the way to 9700, so it's divided by 10 to the second. So hopefully you remember that. When you divide by powers of 10, your decimal goes to the left. When you multiply by powers of 10, it goes to the right. Okay, just one more example here. All right. Here there's no symbol, so we got to figure that out. So we know we went from 2 8/10 to 2080. Well, I know that's multiplication because my number got larger. And let's see, my decimal went 1, 2, and then another one here. So it'd be times 10 to the third because it moved 3 places to make the whole number. Again, not the focus of our lesson today. You want to number your triangles like this. So this should be in the back of your math journal. Should be a little cardboard page, and you want to go through and label your cards. So you have 16 triangles, and again, you want to label them in the same order as me. So go ahead and pause the video, look at the back of your math journal, and you should be able to tear those triangles out. Should be one of the cardstock sheets in the back. So take the time to cut those out because you're going to be sorting them, and also please make sure you number them according to the screen I have in front of you. Okay, so I'm assuming you've had time to cut out the triangles and sort them any way you want, but be prepared to explain why you sorted them that way. And again, you want to make sure you have them numbered. So if you didn't do that, go back and pause the video and look at that. Now, let's talk about what we notice with these triangles. I can see there are tick marks. When we talk about tick marks, we talk about these little guys here. Okay, not all of them have them. So think about how you've sorted yours. Did you sort them into piles based on the tick marks or by their size or by their shape, the way they're shaped? Obviously, they're all triangles, but or by the different type of triangle, how it looks. Attributes or properties of you in triangles. Overlapping groups, right angles, two sides that have the same length. And these tick marks actually tell you the lengths of the sides. So it's not labeled in inches or anything like that. But I can tell on this one, this has 2 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks. That would be an equilateral triangle. All sides are the same. When I look at this triangle, I see this box here, and that tells me it has a right angle, a 90-degree angle. Anytime you see a triangle with a box in the corner, it means it's a right angle. And so let's look at this one here. I have 3 tick marks, 3 tick marks. So those two sides are the same, but this one would be different. That would be called an isosceles. On this one, it has no tick marks because each side is different. That would be called a scaling. So you could sort them a lot of different ways, but that's what those tick marks mean. So you could sort them by the ones that have equal sides, unequal sides, all kinds of different things you could do with that. But today we're going to be sorting triangles, and many of them will be overlapping groups. But let's do an activity to help us understand. Now, obviously, you're not in class if you're watching this video, but we can still think of kind of visualize these. So if you're in the class, if you're in this class, then stand to the far left of the classroom. So you can imagine if a bunch of you was left. If you have a sibling, move to the middle. So that'd be a brother or sister. If you have a brother, move to the far right. So you can see how we're starting to organize information about people, right? So we started out with everybody in the class being on the left side of the room, but if you had a sibling, you were separated from the people who did not in the middle. And then if you had a brother, you were on the far right of the room. So now we would have 3 sections, and we've split it up. So that's what a hierarchy, it's a way of organizing based on attributes. Okay, and so you can see the visual here. We start with a big circle, students in the class, and then it gets narrowed down because not every student has a sibling. And then we narrow it down even more because maybe half of the people or so have a brother. You can see they also organized it this way. And this is something kind of like what you probably see on Evaluate where they do some arrows. So the big category was students in our class. Then we broke it down into students in my class with a sibling, and then students in my class with a sibling who is a brother. That's a hierarchy of students. So a hierarchy is a diagram used to represent relationships. And then you can see we have the categories, right? And then we have subcategories as we go along there. So our category is students in the class, and then our subcategories would be students in my class with a sibling, students in my class with a sibling who is a brother. Okay. What are some other categories, subcategories we could organize our class into? Let's create a hierarchy together. So let's say kids in class. Then I'm thinking we could say kids who play sports. And I could narrow that down to kids who play volleyball. So we started with students in our class, and we narrowed it down to students who play sports. And I took that even farther into a new category, and I would separate the students by students who play volleyball. So again, that's a hierarchy. It shows the relationship. And then we can figure out how many students in our class play volleyball. Okay, go ahead and turn to page 246 in your math journal, please. We're going to do a little bit of sorting. I'm not going to do all this for you. But on the left, write the categories and subcategories for the triangle hierarchy you create in class. So because you are not here in class with me, I went and did the categories. So we're starting with triangles. And then we're going to do all equal side triangles. Then we're going to do 2 equal side triangles and then no equal side. So let's look at a couple of these together. If you have them numbered correctly, you can even write the numbers over here. I'm going to go ahead and try to do my best to drag some of these to give you the visual. You can, it says the glue or tape them into your math journal, but if you don't have enough space, that's fine. Okay, but you want to write the category and subcategory. So let's see, this guy doesn't have any of those tick marks. So I'm going to say none of his sides are equal. So I'm going to put him right there. Now let's look at 2. I see there's 2 tick marks on each section, which tells me that all sides are equal. So that would go in the all sides equal category. Look at 3. Again, that's one of those weird ones. It's a scaling. It has no equal sides. And let's look at one more here. Number 4. I can see, don't have any tick marks to tell me that any of the sides are equal. So I'm not sure. So I'm going to put it down there for now. And then look at number 5. It has 1 tick mark on each side, so I know that all sides are equal. And then we'll do one more, and I'll let you do the rest. Look at 6. 3 sides, and then no side. No ticks on that mark, so that is 2 equal sides. So you can do the rest of those, but you can start to see they all fit under the category of triangles, but they're all sorted based on their categories. So that is what we call hierarchy. So now let's look at the next page here. It says use the triangle hierarchy on journal page 246 to answer these questions. So we're going to look here. You've got the picture here of that. It says name a category shown on the hierarchy, then name a subcategory. Okay, so our category would be triangles. And then you can pick a subcategory. You can pick one of those right in there. Then it asks us to draw an isosceles triangle. When I look at isosceles triangles over here, I can see that means that has two equal sides. So to do that correctly, you would actually want to use a ruler and measure out the sides. In this case, just for visual purposes, I'm going to mark it as if there's two sides here and two sides here equal. Then I would draw one that is not an isosceles triangle. Okay, then I would pick one of the triangles over here that does not fit an isosceles and draw that. So then you would draw an equilateral, and you could look over here for examples. Again, you would really want to use your ruler and measure that out to make sure it's accurate. And then you can find examples. Is there an equilateral that's also an isosceles? Okay, so it's isosceles. If you look up here, you see they have two sides that are the same. So then you're going to answer that. And then each statement below, replace the underlying category with a different category from the triangle hierarchy. So let's look at the first part together. All triangles have three sides and three angles. So instead of saying all triangles, we could say all equilaterals have three sides and three angles. Or I could say all isosceles. All of them have three sides and three angles. All isosceles have at least two sides the same length. So all blank have at least two sides. So I could go back and say equilaterals have at least two sides the same. So what you want to do is you want to look at these statements and you want to look at your hierarchy here and try to figure out which ones work. So I'm going to let you pause the video. You might even want to just snip this or just freeze it and take a closer look and study the hierarchy there to help you answer the questions below. So go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, and one thing on 4C, after looking at it, you might have missed a line of symmetry. If you forget what symmetry is, it's where if I just draw a line straight through, I could fold it over and it should match exactly. Now, obviously, that's not a very good example, but I think of like a butterfly. If you were to draw a line right down the middle of a butterfly drawing, you could see it there. Okay, so that's what the hierarchy is when you see that on Evaluate. We'll continue to learn and talk about that. But you're just sorting it by, you have your main category, in this case triangles, and we're sorting them by their attributes. In this case, we did isosceles and equilateral. So again, take some time to do that. If you have any questions, let us know.